Okay, how we doing? Today is Tuesday, May 3rd, 2016. Here on the Rich Fantastical channel, we're giving you our preview of the Eastern Conference second round between the Toronto Raptors and the Miami Heat. Both teams played on Sunday. Both teams had a 7-game series, so the rest factor should basically be about equal. Miami is traveling to Toronto, though. That's not a brutal flight, but it's still long enough coming back from their home game Sunday against the Charlotte Hornets. So you got to look for that coming into this game. How much is that going to take the toll on them after playing the 7-game series? Toronto was at home on Sunday, and they start this series at home. So certainly an advantage for them there. Now, the biggest thing that I am looking for, as I think most people would be looking for in this series, is if DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry are going to finally show up this playoffs. DeRozan had that 30-point game in Game 7, did not shoot well. They've shown some flashes, but these guys, frankly, are just too good to continue to keep playing poorly as they have been. And I would look at it as the fact that now that they've got that monkey off their back, they can relax a little bit. There's still a lot of pressure on this team, don't get me wrong, but they certainly had to get out of the first round, and Miami is not going to be an easy team. But you look at the backcourt matchup, as well as Goran Dragic played towards the end of that Charlotte series, Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, I still think, have the matchup against Goran Dragic and Dwayne Wade. Certainly Wade and DeRozan probably right around a wash. I would still give a bit of an advantage to DeRozan, but Kyle Lowry, obviously not in the playoffs, but overall is just a better player than Goran Dragic. So that's going to be big to see, is if those two come to play, Lowry and DeRozan, that is, how much they can take advantage of their advantage there, for lack of a better term. Now, got to move on to the centers. Valanciunas played very well in the first round series against the Indiana Pacers. He and Hassan Whiteside will be going at it. Can Whiteside keep Valanciunas off the offensive glass, and vice versa? Can Valanciunas keep Hassan Whiteside off of the offensive glass as well? I think Valanciunas is a bit of a better offensive rebounder, so Whiteside, who was my pick to be Defensive Player of the Year, certainly should be on an All-NBA defensive team, and almost certainly the first team. He's going to need to be better at that than Valanciunas is on the other end. But very similar matchup both way, in those positions, looking at the guard play and looking at the center play. The bench, Corey Joseph needs to continue to be big. Bismack Biyombo for the Raptors has to come off the bench, provide some sort of rebounding, and you'd like to get some points here or there from him. Is DeMarre Carroll back and ready to go? Will he be able to, mark up on Joe Johnson effectively when he's in the game? It's a tough series here. I think that Toronto is actually going to take it in 6. I think that once Lowry and DeRozan start playing better, which I'm expecting them to do now that they've gotten past the first round series, that they're really going to start to show how much of a better team they are. There was certainly a much better team against Indiana than that series would have shown, and I think that they're going to do it here and win this series in 6 games, because I just don't think the guards of Miami can keep up. Luol Deng is really the X factor for the Heat, in my opinion. Either him or Joe Johnson, obviously. I don't know who DeMarre Carroll is going to be matching up against most of the time. I'm expecting him to match up against Joe Johnson. So if it's vice versa, where he is marking up against Luol Deng, then I'd say Joe Johnson is the X factor. But wherever they're not, or whoever DeMarre Carroll is not defending, I think that's Miami's best matchup. And Luol Deng certainly played well in the first round series. Joe Johnson was efficient, but wasn't anything spectacular. So you got to look at that. That's why I'm going with Luol Deng in this situation. But again, I like the Toronto Raptors in 6 games, and DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry will be the determining factors in this game. So later on tonight, obviously, we have that game, so we will give you the recap of that one, as well as the Golden State Warriors and the Portland Trail Blazers. That's a late game, so I'll probably give you the recap of that one tomorrow. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Remember, we appreciate all subscriptions. Enjoy the rest of your day.